It's one of Ben Franklin's old sayings, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And in a rather roundabout way, that's what our next story is about. As part of the 9 Networks American Graduate Initiative, we've been looking at how addressing a student's problem early can help them avoid the failures and frustrations that can years later lead to dropping out. For this story, Jim Kirchherr goes back to school.
There are a lot of things that lead to success or struggle in school, but today we're sticking to the basics. Not even the 3 R's, just the R, reading. We went to Jackson Park Elementary School in University City to explore the wonders and mysteries of giving kids that one essential key to success, learning to read. We started in Christine Whitfield's first grade class.
Say hi. Hi. A gigantic pump. I love it.
Kids come to schools from different backgrounds and with different levels of readiness. Kindergarten lays the foundation. But first grade is not about getting kids ready to read. First grade is about getting kids actually reading.
This is a good opportunity for you to look at the picture and see what you think that word might be. Good?
Grandma,
Must be exciting to see the breakthrough.
It is. It's the best part of first grade. It is the best part of first grade. They come to you as non-readers, and they leave you as fluent, ready readers. It's incredible. Good.
It can't be that easy to learn to read.
It's not. It's not that easy. There's so many facets. I mean, there are so many different things that go into becoming a fluent and good reader.
Now, I learned to read a long time ago in a setting that looked a lot like this, although it was in color. I was not the kind of kid who would have been chosen to be featured in a film. If this had been my class, I would have been seated in the back, or already out in the hallway for fooling around in front of the camera. This was a role for somebody like my big sister. The point is, kids are different in a lot of ways. I did learn to read faster than some, I know slower than others, but I have no idea how that happened. How I went from struggling to sound out "see, spot, run" in first grade to reading The Wonderful Flight to the Mushroom Planet just a few years later, a book I'm happy to say is still in the library. I progressed, I learned, I got over the hump. And as it turns out, for a lot of kids, that hump is third grade. So that was our next stop at Jackson Park, Ms. Johnson's third grade class.
Had enough room and you squeezed it there, make sure you wrote in a complete sentence.
You hear it all the time. How can a kid get through high school if they can only read at a third grade level? Nobody, it seems, ever says fourth grade or fifth grade. Always third grade. And here's why.
Kindergarten to second grade, children are learning to read. When they get to third grade, they begin to read for the purpose of learning. If you really read your activity sheet,
what the kids are doing here today, reading about the Girl Scouts, answering questions, learning history, understanding concepts, it's way different than it was in first grade.
It's huge. I mean, in first grade, I can still kind of help them a little bit along their way, but for the most part, when they're in third and fourth grade, they have to do it on their own.
And if you don't have that before third grade, then you end up in 8th grade on that third grade level.
You just fall further and further behind the other
Exactly.
kids.
If there's no interventions, if there's nothing significantly and consistently implemented, then you fall further and further behind.
Now, third grade and third grade reading are not the same thing. Some kids here are reading above grade level and some below. And today, kids are rarely held back. Instead, the teaching is tailored to their needs. Keep them progressing, keep them interested. So again, back in my day, if you had reading problems, you were probably taken out of class for special instruction. Jackson Park's reading specialist does not pull kids out of class. She works with the teachers.
The most current research says that the most effective use of time, intervention time, is within the classroom. And so it's my job to help teachers become their best interventionists, the best interventionists that they can be for their students.
To figure out, we know this is the 100th year.
Most of these kids will be reading well enough to handle the assignments when they're across the street at the high school. but undoubtedly there will be some who are still struggling. A lot of people will tell you it is never too late to help a student, even one who has dropped out of high school. They'll also tell you it's a lot easier to address the issues, solve the problems when they're little kids, before they start falling behind and losing interest.
And it happens before middle school and early high school when kids aren't reading, when they're reading something that's too hard. They break down, they get frustrated, and so that's why meeting them at their level early and working intensely with them early is where it needs to start so that they are more successful in third grade and beyond.
And it works?
It works, definitely, yeah.
So these are words you might see later on. There are lots of little moments. There are lots of little successes that happen every single year with every single child. And you have to applaud all of those little moments.
If you would. The Fantastic Pumpkin by Jill Atkins, illustrated by Chloe March.